My name is Olivia Carter, and for most of my life, I was the family joke. Not because I did something wrong, but because I dared to dream differently. I grew up in a family of achievers, doctors, lawyers, engineers, the kind of people who introduce themselves with job titles instead of names. At every dinner, my father, Richard Carter, would ask the same question. So, what did you accomplish this week? Before I share how everything changed, please take a moment to subscribe. Your support helps me keep telling real stories of love, loss, and finding your way back. My brother Evan would boast about his promotions. My sister Clara would talk about her high-paying finance job. And when it came to me, the table always went quiet. Because I didn't have a title. I didn't have a corner office or a company car. I was a freelance graphic designer, working from a laptop in a tiny apartment, trying to build a dream that no one else could see. To them, that wasn't a career. It was a phase. You draw pictures for a living? Evan would smirk. You mean logos, I'd correct. Same thing, he'd laugh. You know, you could still go back to school. There's time to get a real job, my father would add. Every word was a cut, small, sharp, deliberate. They didn't see the hours I spent pitching clients, learning design tools, studying color theory, staying up till 3 a.m. trying to make something perfect. They only saw a failure waiting to happen. Even my mother, sweet, soft-spoken, always torn between support and silence, would sigh and say, "Honey, maybe they're right. Stability isn't a bad thing." But stability, to me, felt like a cage. And every time I heard their laughter, I promised myself, someday, I'd make them eat those words. They used to laugh at my work. Now, they refresh their phones waiting for my next interview to go live. But before that transformation came the fall, the kind that makes you question whether your dream is even worth it. Before I tell you how I turned their mockery into my motivation, please subscribe. Your support helps me keep sharing stories about courage, growth, and the strength it takes to stand alone when no one claps for you. The leap. At 25, I turned down a marketing job my father had arranged through one of his friends. It paid well, $80K a year. The kind of position most people would grab instantly. But it wasn't mine. "You're throwing away your future," my father shouted that night. "No," I said quietly. "I'm just choosing my own." He stared at me for a long time, then said something I'll never forget. "You'll regret this, Olivia. The world doesn't pay dreamers." Maybe he was right. Because the first year after that decision was brutal. No steady income. Clients ghosted. Some months I lived off coffee and $5 sandwiches. But I refused to quit. I worked in cafes, libraries, and even my car, designing logos, posters, anything that paid. And every night before bed, I'd whisper, "Just one more day. Keep going." The family gatherings. Holidays became torture. They'd ask how business was going, their voices dripping with sarcasm. "Still drawing those cartoons?" Evan would say. "Do you even make enough to pay rent?" my father would add. "At least you're doing what you love," Clara would smirk, which was code for, "We don't take you seriously." I'd smile through it all, pretending it didn't bother me. But every word sank deep. The worst part? They weren't wrong about the struggle, just wrong about the outcome. Because failure wasn't the end of my story. It was the start. The spark. One night, I got a message from a small coffee shop downtown. They needed a rebrand, logo, packaging, everything. The owner said, "I want something that feels warm, like home. Think cozy, not corporate." That job changed my life. The cafe blew up on social media. People loved the design, the cups, the mural, the menus. Within weeks, other small businesses started reaching out. Then, a major lifestyle brand saw my work online and emailed me. "We're launching a campaign and love your aesthetic. Are you available for collaboration?" I said yes, and that one project paid more than my father's entire monthly salary. For the first time, I wasn't surviving. I was soaring. But success doesn't heal everything. Because no matter how high I climbed, my family still saw me as the artistic one who got lucky. That's when I realized, some people can't see your value until strangers start applauding it. And soon, the world started clapping louder than my family ever did. They say every overnight success takes years. For me, it took 5. 5 years of working in silence, while everyone else was watching me fail in public. The brand collaboration that started it all, the lifestyle campaign, went viral. People shared my designs everywhere. Suddenly, I was being called a visionary. Agencies reached out, investors called, and for the first time, I had to hire assistants to help me keep up with the demand. My inbox was overflowing, my name was trending, and my world was spinning faster than I could process. But the real turning point came with one email. It was from the Horizon Collective, one of the biggest creative agencies in New York. They wrote, "We've been following your work. Let's talk about partnership." Partnership. Not employment. That single word felt like the universe whispering, "You did it, Olivia." The call that changed everything. The first person I called wasn't my father, or my mother, or anyone from home. It was Maya, my best friend, the one person who had seen me cry on the floor over unpaid invoices. "Liv," she screamed when I told her. "This is it. You're going to New York, baby." We laughed, we cried, and I promised to take her to dinner the second my first contract cleared. That night, I celebrated with takeout sushi and sparkling water in my small apartment, because champagne felt too soon. But as I sat there, staring at the city lights, I thought of all the times my family had called me a failure. And I made myself another promise. When they finally see me, I won't need their approval anymore. Before I tell you how fast things changed, and how quickly it all came crashing down, please subscribe. I share stories like this because somewhere, someone needs to hear that being underestimated is the greatest motivation in the world. The spotlight. A month later, I was in New York, presenting concepts for one of Horizon's biggest campaigns. The boardroom was full of executives twice my age. They wore suits that probably cost more than my rent. But when I clicked through my presentation, I didn't stutter. I didn't shrink. Because I wasn't the girl who draws pictures anymore. I was Olivia Carter, creative director of her own agency, standing in the same city that had once felt too big for her. When the meeting ended, the CEO shook my hand. "You've got something rare," he said. "Vision. Keep it." That campaign ended up on billboards. Magazines wrote about it. And my follower count exploded. It was surreal. People I'd never met tagged me in their posts, quoting my captions, praising my designs. My inbox filled with messages like, "Your story inspires me. I quit my job to chase my dream because of you." For the first time, I was the one being looked up to. The family reaction. And then came the calls. First from my mother. "Honey, we saw your ad on TV. Can you believe it? That's your work." Then my sister. "So, you're kind of famous now, huh?" Even my father's tone softened. "I read about your company in the Times. Looks like you've made quite a name for yourself." I wanted to feel happy. I wanted to feel validated. But instead, I felt empty. Because when I was struggling, they laughed. And now that I was winning, they wanted to stand beside me, as if they'd believed all along. The reunion dinner. A few weeks later, my parents invited me home for dinner. It was the first time I'd stepped foot in that house in nearly 3 years. Everything looked the same, the polished floors, the framed degrees, the trophies that lined the shelves. But the air felt different. When I entered, my father smiled. "There's our star," he said, raising his glass. I froze for a second. "Our?" He chuckled. "Well, you're a Carter, aren't you?" I laughed politely, but something inside me recoiled. Because when I wasn't successful, I hadn't been a Carter, I'd been a disappointment. Dinner was filled with small talk and subtle rewrites of history. "We always knew you had potential," my mother said. "You were just finding your way," Clara added. They made it sound like support, but I remembered the years of mockery, the jokes, the doubts. Still, I smiled. Because sometimes silence is stronger than argument. The pressure of perfection. After that night, my parents started inviting me to every event. Suddenly, I was the guest of honor. They introduced me to their friends with pride. "This is our daughter, Olivia, the designer who worked with Horizon Collective." I'd stand there, smiling, listening to the same people who once pitied me now asking for selfies. And yet, behind that smile, I felt exhausted. Because success came with a new kind of loneliness, the kind that comes when people only see the highlight reel, not the hustle behind it. At night, I'd sit in my penthouse studio, surrounded by awards, and whisper to myself, "Is this what I wanted?" Because the laughter had stopped, but the noise inside me hadn't. The burnout. It happened slowly. Late nights became early mornings. Coffee became meals. And the dream that once filled me with joy began to suffocate me. I started losing focus, not creatively, but emotionally. Clients loved my work, but I felt disconnected from it. One night, Maya called. "Liv, you okay? You sound tired." "I'm fine," I lied. "You sound like you're chasing something you've already caught." That line hit harder than I expected. Because she was right. I had spent my whole life trying to prove myself, and now that I finally had, I didn't know who I was without the fight. The breaking point. It was a Thursday. I was in the middle of a conference call when my vision blurred. The next thing I knew, I was on the floor, gasping for breath. The doctor later called it severe burnout. My body had simply had enough. When I woke up in the hospital, my phone was flooded with messages, clients, journalists, and one that stood out. "Mom, we're on our way." The moment that changed everything. When my parents arrived, I expected awkward concern. But what I saw in my mother's eyes wasn't pity, it was fear. Real, raw, maternal fear. She took my hand and whispered, "I'm sorry, Liv. We pushed you to be what we understood. We never saw what you were trying to build." My father stood silently in the corner, his eyes glassy. For the first time, I saw him not as the man who mocked my dreams, but as a father realizing he might lose the daughter he never truly knew. That night, when the lights dimmed and the machines hummed softly beside me, I realized something powerful. I had been fighting for recognition, when what I really wanted was respect. And maybe, for the first time, I was finally earning both. Hospitals have a way of making everything quiet. The noise of ambition fades. The applause stops. All that's left is the heartbeat of what really matters. When I woke up the next morning, sunlight was streaming through the blinds. My mother was asleep in the chair beside me, still holding my hand. My father sat in the corner, reading the newspaper, but for once, he wasn't pretending not to care. When I stirred, they both looked up instantly. "You scared us," Mom whispered, her voice shaking. "I scared myself," I said weakly. My father cleared his throat. "The doctor said you'd been overworking. Something about exhaustion and anxiety." I nodded. "That sounds about right." He folded his newspaper and sighed. "You know, I used to think you were wasting your potential. But now I realize you've been carrying more than any of us ever did." That wasn't an apology. But it was close enough to one for me to let the moment rest in peace. Time away. After I was discharged, I decided to take a break, for the first time in years. I closed my laptop, postponed projects, and rented a small cabin near the coast. No Wi-Fi. No meetings. No hashtags. Just me, my sketchbook, and the sound of the ocean. At first, I felt guilty. Then, I felt free. I drew again, not for clients, not for campaigns, but for me. I painted sunsets, driftwood, the curve of waves, the stillness of mornings. For the first time since childhood, art didn't feel like work. It felt like healing. One afternoon, I got a call from Maya. "So," she said playfully, "you've gone full hermit?" "Pretty much," I laughed. "It's quiet here." I needed quiet. "Good," she said softly. "You've proven yourself to the world, Liv. Maybe now it's time to prove to yourself that you don't have to." That sentence stayed with me for days. Because she was right, again. I had built a name, but somewhere along the way, I'd forgotten to build peace. Before I tell you what happened when I finally returned home, please take a second to subscribe. Because every story I share here is about one truth: success means nothing if you lose yourself trying to earn it. Coming home. 2 weeks later, I went back to the city. Not as the overworked creative director, but as a woman who had finally exhaled. My parents invited me for dinner again, but this time, something felt different. The tone, the energy, the intention. My father was grilling outside when I arrived. "We kept it simple," he said, smiling. "No speeches. Just." I looked at him curiously. "You? No speeches?" He chuckled. "I'm learning." Inside, the table was casual, no crystal, no fancy dishes, just homemade pasta and laughter that didn't sound rehearsed. Evan and Clara were there too. For the first time, they weren't teasing me. Instead, they were asking for advice. "Liv, I saw your recent campaign," Evan said. "It was brilliant. The color balance, just perfect." "You actually looked at the color balance?" I teased. "Okay, maybe I had help from my girlfriend. She's obsessed with your work." Clara nodded. "You've really built something meaningful, Liv. I envy that. Not just the success, the freedom." Freedom. That word hit me harder than I expected. Because it was exactly what I'd fought for, even when they couldn't see it. The shift. After dinner, my mother showed me something on her phone. It was a screenshot from Facebook. A post from my father's profile. It read, "Proud dad moment, my daughter Olivia's design just won another national award. She always followed her own path, and now the world's following her." Below it were dozens of comments from his colleagues and friends. "She's amazing. You raised a visionary. That's your daughter? Wow." My father looked almost embarrassed. "I know I used to tease you for posting your art online," he said. "Now, I think I understand why you did it." I smiled, but inside, something cracked open, not pain, not pride, but closure. For years, I'd chased their approval. Now, I realized I didn't need it, because I had earned something greater, their respect. The turning point. Months passed. Work slowed intentionally. I hired a manager, built a team, and created boundaries I once thought I couldn't afford to have. Every Friday, I visited my parents for dinner. Not as the black sheep of the family, but as the daughter they had finally learned to understand. We talked about art, life, mistakes, and the lessons we wished we'd learned sooner. My father confessed that when I left the corporate path, he felt afraid. "I thought your failure would be mine," he said. "But your success taught me it never was." My mother started volunteering at a local art center, teaching kids creativity and confidence. One day, she sent me a photo of her with her students holding up sketches. The caption read, "Following in my daughter's footsteps." That one photo made me cry. Because it wasn't about fame or validation. It was about a generation learning from the courage of another. The conference. A year later, I was invited to give a talk at a design and entrepreneurship summit. It was my first time speaking publicly about my journey. As I walked on stage, the spotlight hit my face, and I saw them in the front row. My entire family. My father, my mother, Evan, and Clara. sitting there with pride instead of skepticism. I took a deep breath and began. When I started out, people told me art wasn't a career, that I'd never make it. Some of those people were sitting at my dinner table. But here's what I learned: it's not the world's job to understand your dream. It's yours to protect it until it speaks for itself. The audience erupted into applause. But the sound I cherished most wasn't theirs. It was my father's slow, steady clapping. The kind that says, "I finally see you." That night, after the event, I found my father standing alone outside. He looked up at the city lights and said quietly, "You were right to chase it, Liv. I was wrong to doubt you. I didn't understand passion until I watched you live it." I smiled. "You understand now?" He nodded. "Completely." Then he added, with a soft chuckle, "You know, people at the golf club keep asking if they can hire you for design work." I laughed. "You mean the same people who told you art wasn't a real job?" He smiled. "Yes. Funny how things change." That moment didn't erase the past. It didn't have to. Because healing doesn't mean pretending the pain never existed. It means knowing it no longer controls you. For the first time, I realized I didn't just prove them wrong, I helped them grow. And that's a much better victory than revenge could ever be. The full circle and forgiveness. Success looks different when it's no longer about proving anyone wrong. It's quieter, softer, like finally exhaling after holding your breath for years. Months after my conference speech, my world had changed in more ways than I could count. But the biggest shift wasn't in my work, or my bank account, it was in my family. The unexpected post. One morning, I was scrolling through social media before a meeting when I saw a tag notification. It was from my mother. She had shared one of my new design campaigns, a bright, minimalist ad for an environmental charity, with the caption, "My daughter's creativity is helping change lives. We used to tell her to get a real job. Turns out, she was building one that was more real than we could ever imagine." Thousands of likes. Hundreds of comments. People from her old social circles replying with things like, "You must be so proud. Olivia's work is everywhere, she's amazing." And for the first time, I didn't roll my eyes. I smiled. Because she wasn't bragging out of vanity, she was celebrating with understanding. Sometimes, people change not when you tell them to, but when you show them how. The TV interview. A few weeks later, a journalist invited me to appear on a morning show to discuss my journey, from mockery to mastery, the story of Olivia Carter. I hesitated at first. I wasn't sure I wanted to talk about my family's past publicly. But my mother encouraged me. "Tell the truth, Liv," she said. "It might help someone else find the courage you did." So, I did. Under the studio lights, I told my story honestly, the laughter, the loneliness, the resilience. And then, I said something I hadn't planned. I don't blame my family for not understanding. They grew up believing success had one definition. I just decided to write my own. The interviewer smiled. "And how do they feel about it now?" I laughed softly. "Let's just say they've become my biggest fans. My dad even follows my company page and corrects people if they spell my name wrong." The audience chuckled. But behind that laugh was something real, the sound of full circle healing. If you've ever felt underestimated, please take a second to subscribe. Because every story I share here is a reminder that even when no one believes in you, your belief can be enough to build something extraordinary. The dinner that felt like home. That summer, I hosted a family dinner at my apartment, my space, my food, my rules. There were candles on the table, paintings on the walls, laughter that didn't sound forced. Evan brought dessert. Clara brought her new boyfriend, an artist, ironically. And my parents, they brought stories. "Do you remember when you used to sit on the floor drawing for hours?" Mom said, smiling. "And I told you to get outside and do something productive?" "Oh, I remember," I laughed. She reached over and squeezed my hand. I was wrong. You were doing the most productive thing of all, building who you are. My father raised his glass. To Olivia. For teaching us that success isn't measured in salaries or titles, but in courage. We clinked glasses, and I felt the kind of peace that only comes after a long storm. The moment of truth. A few months later, I was invited to speak at an art university graduation. Standing on that stage, I looked out at hundreds of faces, young, hopeful, nervous. They reminded me of myself, years ago, when the world laughed and I kept going anyway. I told them, if your dreams make people uncomfortable, you're probably doing something right. The world needs the kind of light that doesn't fit in their boxes. When the ceremony ended, my parents were waiting backstage. My father hugged me, really hugged me, and whispered, "You've changed what I thought was possible, Liv." My mother wiped her eyes. "We used to mock your dream. Now, it's the only thing we brag about." I smiled, holding back tears. You can brag all you want. Just remember, I'm still the same Olivia who started with a sketchbook and a stubborn heart. Redemption in motion. In the following years, my agency expanded into community projects. We launched scholarships for creative students who couldn't afford art school. My mother became our program director. And my father? He donated legal support to help small artists register their businesses, the same kind of dreamers he once dismissed. He even joked one day, "Guess I work for you now." I laughed. "Welcome to the real job, Dad." Full circle. It's funny, when I look back, I don't see the pain anymore. I see the lessons. Every insult was fuel. Every doubt was direction. And every lonely night was the seed of something that grew stronger because it had to. Now, when people see my family posting about me online, they think we've always been this close. They don't see the tears, the fights, the years of silence. But that's okay, because the story isn't about how it started. It's about how it ended. And this one ended with love. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that your dreams don't need validation to be real. You don't have to prove anyone wrong, just prove yourself right. And someday, the same people who doubted you might become the ones cheering the loudest. This is Olivia Carter's story, and maybe, a little bit, it's yours too. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe for more, because every voice that was once laughed at deserves to be heard.